Hola, hola, bienvenidos otra vez a la clase de español. Hi everybody, welcome once more to Spanish class. Antes de continuar con esta presentación, asegúrate que hayas terminado todas tus tareas y que entiendes estos conceptos. So I hope you watched the video from last week. Remember, it's really important to watch all the videos in order, especially since in the previous videos when I explained what all that means. And I'm not going to do it this time. That's right. So if you missed it, make sure you go back and watch it. If not, make sure that you're getting comfortable listening to all the sounds of Spanish and really getting the hang of the rhythm of the language. All right, so last week we tackled el alfabeto, the alphabet, as well as los sonidos de español. You had the sounds of Spanish. You had a written assignment on Google Classroom where you had to translate all your vocabulary words, as well as your verbal assignment, which was to say the alphabet out loud, as well as read all the vocabulary terms out loud. And I just want to say a big, big bravo to everybody who came online and did this. I know how intimidating it can be to speak in a new language, especially online. Something's really scary about having to speak into a microphone, but so many of you were super brave, stepped up and did it and did your best, and it was really fantastic to listen to. So bravo on that. Make sure, just from last week, or as well as last week, you reviewed your saludos, your greetings, your como estas, your how are you exchanges, and despedidas, your farewells. You will be using these a lot, guys. These are not things that will ever go away, ever. We actually will build on it every single week. So make sure you keep practicing, even if you don't have an assignment to do for it. You want to be practicing 10 to 15 minutes at least every day, so you get more and more comfortable saying these words out loud and getting closer and closer to memorizing everything. All right, so this week we're going to start with our información personal, our personal information. So over the next few weeks, this is everything that we will be working on. So I'm going to list everything in English. Make sure you have your notebooks ready. Just like I explained in the previous videos, you want to make sure you're always watching these videos with a notebook so you can jot down your notes, any questions you might have, or anything like that. So what we're going to work on is the following: how to say my name is in español. So if I were to say it in English, my name is Miss Enriquez. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. Well, I am in español. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it blank for now. But that's something that you're going to look at, how to say all the numbers, and of course, as well, how to say how old you are. When your birthday is. My birthday is June 25th, 1984. Notice how fast I said that, so maybe you will not figure out how old I am. My favorite color is blue. My favorite book is Pride and Prejudice. My favorite season is autumn. My favorite class subject is English literature. So things like that are what you will be learning how to say in Espanol. I have two brothers and one sister. Of course, every family is drastically different, so that's what we're going to look at as well, looking at in-laws and half-siblings and parents and uncles and aunts, extended families and adopted families, all that fun stuff. And of course, as well, your role as a student, what school you go to, what courses you take, etc., etc. So starting at the very beginning, how to say what your name is. So there are two different ways to ask a person what their name is in Espanol. The first is ¿Cómo te llamas? What are you called? That is the literal translation. Of course, we would say what is your name in Espanol, but this is literally like what are you called? ¿Cómo te llamas? Remember, double L is a Y sound. And watch those vowels. ¿Cómo te llamas? Llamas. To answer that, you say me llamo and your name. So if I were to answer it, I would say me llamo señorita Enriquez. If your name is Joe, me llamo Joe. If your name is Susan, me llamo Susan. Right? That's it. Me llamo. Just be careful. Make sure you're saying me and not me. I know it looks like me in English, but that actually means something totally different in Espanol. So you want to say me llamo for I am called. ¿Cuál es tu nombre? Is another way to say what is your name. Literally, that is what it means. So what is your name? ¿Cuál es tu nombre? you would answer with mi nombre es. So I would say mi nombre es Señorita Enriquez, or mi nombre es Joe, or mi nombre es Susan, etc., etc. And that's literally my name is. Guys, this is informal. So you're going to hear this a lot over the course, over the entire course, the difference between informal and formal. Something that's not necessarily a big deal in English, but it's a huge deal in Espanol. When you're speaking informally, you're usually speaking to someone who's roughly your age. It could be a classmate, siblings, your friends, and it's more in a casual setting. However, when you're speaking to someone and you need to add an element of respect, has to be a little more respectful, that's when it's formal, and we'll look at that in a moment. So formal is when you're speaking to your parents, to your teachers. If you have a job, you're speaking to your boss, anyone who's generally older than you want to say it formally. So this is all informal. Now, if you want to ask somebody what someone else's name is, you would say ¿Cómo se llama? So let's say you're waiting for class to start, you're hanging out in your classroom, you're talking to some friends, and a new student walks in and you ask your friends, oh, what are they called, or what is her name, or what is his name? It's ¿Cómo se llama? Your friend would then respond, se llama, like his name is or her name is, or they are called. That is what that means. Se llama. Next, if you come online and you forgot my name, for example, it's been a full week, you can't remember what my name is, you want to ask me, but you want to be respectful, then you would ask using a formal pronoun right there, su. So, ¿cuál es su nombre? So, whereas ¿cuál es tu nombre is informal, ¿cuál es su nombre is formal. So, that is what you would ask me. Or if you ask your friend about the teacher's name, you ask them, ¿Cuál es su nombre? Like, what is her name? Your friend can say, su nombre es. His or her name is. If I wanted to answer myself directly, though, of course, I'd answer the same as before. Mi nombre es. Mi nombre es. And of course, that's formal. So speaking to anyone older than you, your teacher, your parents, your boss, with that extra element of respect. Hands down, the most common question I'll ask you all year, so the more comfortable you get with it, the better, is ¿Cómo estás? How are you? And we did touch upon that last week, so I'm going to go quite quickly through the next little part here. So we looked at estoy for I am. Yo estoy bien, gracias. I'm good, thank you. Estoy mal, gracias. I'm bad, thank you. Estoy más o menos. I'm okay. Estoy muy bien. I'm very good. Estoy muy mal. I'm very bad. And of course, y tú is and you. You should always ask in return how someone else is doing. That's informal. Or y usted for formal. So I flew through that, but because we already looked at it last week, if you didn't see that, you need to go back, pause this video, go back and rewatch that one carefully, and then resume this one. So an example of a basic conversation between two people, one a student and one a teacher. Remember, we always start with our greeting. So a teacher can say, hola, and a student responds, buenos días. Of course, I always ask, ¿Cómo estás? How are you? You can say, estoy bien, gracias. Y usted? I'm good, thank you. And yourself, or you? Estoy muy bien, gracias. I'm very good, thank you. ¿Cuál es tu nombre? So notice now we're starting to add extra questions, and we're building on our conversation. So what is your name? Student, mi nombre es Carlos. My name is Carlos. Y usted, and you? Mi nombre es Señorita Enriquez. My name is Miss Enriquez. And of course, we always finish with a farewell. Hasta luego, until later. Adios, goodbye. Okay, so that's a very basic conversation between two people. Notice here the student always addressed the teacher formally, so said y usted, but a teacher can address a student informally. So definitely watching out for those tiny little clues. Here's more. So last week, that's what we looked at. Now we're going to build on different ways to say how we're feeling. So make sure you're jotting these down. Estoy cansado or cansada is I am tired. Remember, anything that ends in an O is masculine. So this is the one you want if you're a boy. If you're a boy, you say estoy cansado. Anything that ends in an A is feminine. So this is the one that you use if you're a girl. Estoy cansada. Same thing here, estoy frustrado. If you're frustrated with an assignment and you come online to get extra help, say you're frustrated, be honest about it, and use this time to practice your Spanish, right? So estoy frustrado if you're a boy, estoy frustrada if you're a girl. Estoy feliz, I am happy. Notice this one ends in a Z, so we don't have to worry about changing anything. It is always going to be feliz. Just like triste will always be triste. We never change the ending. So feliz is happy. Estoy feliz. I am happy. Estoy enojado or estoy enojada is I am angry. Estoy contento or estoy contenta. I'm content. Or another way to say I'm happy. Estoy triste. I am sad. Estoy nervioso, estoy nerviosa is I am nervous. So if you're nervous about a presentation, let me know. I keep that in my mind when I'm assessing students and marking students on their presentations. So if you're feeling really nervous, just let me know. It's totally fine. Estoy enfermo, estoy enferma, I am sick. Another one, that's a good one. If you're actually feeling sick, please let me know so I can accommodate you appropriately. So one more time from the top. Estoy cansado, estoy cansada, estoy frustrado, estoy frustrada, estoy feliz, estoy enojado, estoy enojada, estoy contento, estoy contenta, estoy triste, estoy nerviosa o estoy nervioso, estoy enfermo, estoy enferma. Your next question is, ¿cuántos años tienes? How old are you? Before we can really tackle this question, before you can say how old you are, you first must learn the numbers en español, los números en español. So we're only going to look at 15 this week. Make sure you're jotting them down. But we will build on them next week. So you want to make sure you practice these as much as possible. Get them memorized as soon as you can so it's easier to add on next week. And guys, remember, like I mentioned last week, sometimes I can't post stuff because of copyright on Google, but use Google, use YouTube. There's so many videos out there that'll help you practice this, videos, songs, games. Use them, use the internet to help you memorize, to help you practice. I will go through them right now a couple of times. Again, make sure you're jotting them down and practicing out loud. So, first is uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So notice how important it is to practice your sonidos de español from last week in order to not become overwhelmed. So if you're still trying to remember your sounds of Spanish, you need to go back and practice more before tackling the next one. And remember, we're saying every single letter everywhere. So here, siete, saying the E's at the end. Siete, siete, siete. Same thing here. Seis, seis. Nueve, nueve. Here, remember your sonidos de español. The QU makes a K sound, so make sure you don't say that U. Do not say quince, say quince. Pretend it's a K. Quince. Again, making sure you're saying all of the E's at the end. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? And lastly, here, the first C is a soft C. The second one is a hard C. So, cinco, cinco. One more time from the top. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, next. In español, we don't say how old we are. We actually say how many years we have. So if you're 10 years old, you say, I have 10 years. If you're 105, you say, I have 105 years. So, ¿cuántos años tienes? The question is asking, how many years do you have? ¿Cuántos años tienes? How many years do you have? Guys, make sure you're saying años with the ñ, the ñ sound, años. If you say anos, that actually means something very inappropriate. That means anuses. Yeah, that's right. So instead of telling me how many years you have, you'll be telling me how many anuses you have. And as much as I chuckle whenever my students do this, you want to make sure you're saying it correctly, appropriately. And you're saying cuántos años tienes, not cuántos años tienes. Años, ños. Very, very important. Tiny little squiggle, big, big difference. So to answer, you start with tengo, which means I have. Then you put the number in the middle. Then años, which means years. So here, ocho is 8 to say how old you are. You're 8 years old. I have 8 years, or I am 8 years old. You say tengo 8 años. Tengo 8 años. If you're 5 years old, you say tengo 5 años. If you're 12 years old, you say tengo 12 años. If you're 15, tengo 15 años. Or if you're like me, tengo 34 años. Ooh, 34. Oh my goodness. And I'm going to go ahead and not translate that one for you. Yeah, that's right. Okay, guys, so that takes you to the end of this week. Antes de continuar al siguiente video, asegúrate de terminar. So before going on to the next video, make sure you've completed both assignments. You have one written and one verbal this week. Your written assignment is to find any 20 words in English. That's right, any 20 words, whatever your interests are. So if you're an artsy student, you really want to know how to say 20 different art terms in Spanish, then look those 20 words up. If you're into sports, focus it on sports. If you're general and you just want to randomly pick 20 words, then do so. If you're really into languages and you've been really curious with how to say certain phrases, then look those up. I don't care. As long as it's 20 words in English, get creative, jump right in, and start to really explore some vocabulary. Once you have your 20 words, what you need to do is translate them to Espanol and then attempt to use them in a sentence or phrase. And yes, I know this is a beginner course, so I'm not looking for perfection. Definitely not in terms of grammar. We haven't studied any yet. But I am looking for creativity. I am looking for effort. So are you trying to use the same word every time in every sentence? Don't do that. Just give it a shot. Give 20 different words a shot. Use them in 20 different sentences. They don't have to be complex. Just dive in and have some fun with the language. So un ejemplo. An English word is house, very straightforward. Spanish translation, traducción, is casa. And of course, your frase, your sentence, or your phrase could be something simple like mi casa, which is my house. So you might have heard that in TV shows or in movies, mi casa es su casa, my home is your home, or my house is your house. And do that. Let's say you watched a movie and they say something in Spanish and you want to know how to say it in English, go ahead and jot that down. Of course, it needs to be appropriate. I don't care what the topic is, as long as there's 20 words. For each word, there's an English word, a Spanish translation, and a sentence. So that is step number 1, your vocabulary. Number 2, número dos, is your basic conversation, conversación básica. This is strictly a verbal mark. However, there is a worksheet on Google Classroom, which will be written. It gives you an outline for 2 different conversations. What you need to do is complete that, fill in the blanks, and then submit it on Google Classroom. Once you've done that, practice your sentences out loud. What will happen is you will sign into Blackboard for our usual class like we do every week. And then when you do, I will pull up the conversations and we will interact. So I will say the teacher lines, you say the student lines, like a little skit, right? But you want to make sure you practice your lines, your sounds, your pronunciation, all of that before presenting. Because this is a verbal mark, and that's what I will be listening for, is your pronunciation, your accent, your fluency. Is it obvious that you practice a lot before, or are you stopping in between each word, thinking about what you have to say? You want to make sure you practice to get over that part. And of course, if you want to practice with me beforehand, just let me know and we can set that up for sure. Okay guys, that takes me to the end of the video for this week. I look forward to seeing you all in class. Gracias. Adios.